48 hours after MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said he was not confident we would have a 2020 season, calling it a, quote, disaster for our game, there's hope in the form of a new proposal from the league, a proposal that includes 60 games for a regular season, prorated salaries, a potential opening day date of July 19th, expanded playoffs, and the regular season ending as the owners would like on September 27th. Davidi and Arden Zwelling have been keeping their eyes on the negotiations. They join me now. Shai, let's start with you. MLB has made 3 separate proposals. Why is this one different?
Hazel, it was in the list that you just mentioned, and it's the key term here, prorated salaries. This is the first time Major League Baseball, since the March 26th agreement that was supposed to provide a roadmap for the sides to navigate through the pandemic, that Major League Baseball is talking to its players about prorated salaries. And this was a real line in the sand for the players. They could not give away or move away from that because that would be essentially be taking a pay cut. That was a really important principle here. And until Major League Baseball moved off of its approach of negotiating a percentage of monies owed, these two sides were essentially on parallel tracks that were never going to meet. Now they're on the same track. They have an opportunity now to negotiate a deal.
And there are big concessions on the players' side as well, guys, when you look at expanded playoffs and waiving the right to a grievance. Clearly, MLB is spooked by the prospect of a grievance. They've essentially admitted indirectly throughout this latest round of public bargaining that they believe they'd lose that grievance. So I think the players have a pretty strong position of leverage there. And I've been saying this whole time, agreeing to expanded playoffs is not a small thing. That is a massive boon for owners. The league reaps really big revenues in the postseason. We all saw the new reported $1 billion deal that was struck with Turner. And really, you have to think that expanded playoffs will be here to stay. The agreement may say it's only the next 2 years, but we've seen this with other frameworks, whether it's spending caps or draft slots or free agent compensation. Usually when you give something like this up, it's here indefinitely.
Arden, we've heard that both sides had not negotiated, really talked to each other in almost 10 days. How did this face-to-face meeting between union head Tony Clark and MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred come to be?
Clearly, there was a lot of pressure, Hazel. You know, I don't think the fans would have tolerated another round of public bargaining and acrimony and mudslinging through the media. These two individuals just needed to sit down in a room face to face and work this out and strike a deal. It was the best way forward, not only for the two sides, but for the integrity of the game. Like, I think that I can speak for everybody around baseball and who watches baseball in saying it was time for these two sides to sit down and strike a deal.
Very much so, Arden. And I think one of the intriguing points to me of the statement that Major League Baseball released was Rob Manfred saying that the meeting came about at his request. And he's really been cast as the villain throughout this process. I mean, he's really been doing the owners' bidding, but he's been taking a lot of the bullets. And I think it got to the point where he realized that as much as he does represent the owners, he's also a steward of the game. He realized that he had to do something drastic that was in the best interests of the game. And it's clear that here in this instance, Major League Baseball moved towards the players, not the players moving towards the owners. So that's very significant. And I think that's why we are starting to see a little bit of momentum and a little bit of optimism.
Yeah, Manfred did say that this was a framework for a deal in the making, but nothing is done yet, Shai. So where do we go from here? What do the two sides do moving forward?
Well, there's still work to be done. You know, is it 60 games? Is it 66? Is it 70? What are the other factors that go into play? If somebody wants to opt out, what are the structures and what are the consequences of such a decision? There's lots of work left here. So as much as we'd like to say, all right, the worst is over, we can start getting ready for opening day, there's still a chance that things can go haywire. And we've seen them go haywire throughout this process. So nothing should be taken for granted. But the key thing is that they're no longer shouting at each other from opposite sides of the street. They're walking down the road together now. They just have to make sure that they get to the destination together.
Yeah, and I don't see how 60 games gets it done. That's still very similar financially to the league's recent offers, which all look very similar. Now, if they got up to 65, 70 games, I think that could work out, because at that point, players would be looking at getting somewhere around 40 to 45% of their total salaries, prorated, obviously. And I think that's the best they can hope for here. The other thing that we don't talk about enough are the health and safety protocols, which have still yet to be finalized, and there simply cannot be baseball without them. Decisions need to be made about what happens if a player tests positive, how you test, trace, and isolate, what happens if a player tests positive on the road, and how they're transported home and reunited with families. That original health and safety document, Shai, that was presented was extremely restrictive, and a lot of players pushed back on it, whether it was some of the clubhouse rules or travel rules, in-game rules. And I think a lot of that still has to be sorted out and agreed upon.
Right. And the other factor there to consider too, Arden, is the way that the coronavirus numbers are rising in several places where teams play baseball. That could end up sideswiping all this. And that, as much as everybody wants to play, and as much as we appear to be on the road towards an agreement on how to play, the COVID-19 may have different plans.
Well, Shai Davidi has a column up right now on sportsnet.ca detailing the contrasting factors driving each side. So check out sportsnet.ca right now with more from Shai Davidi. It's been a roller coaster ride for baseball fans, but this ride may finally be coming to an end. Fingers crossed. Arden and Shai, thank you for joining us. Baseball could be back